Just before we get going with this video, thought I'd let you know I've taken the decision to separate Piccadilly Sidings off onto a new channel. The videos that are here already on this channel will remain, and I'll probably still post the next few onto here as well. But I'm eventually going to migrate all videos across to the other channel. So that will be the main point. So if you'd like to subscribe to that, then I will leave some reminders through this video. Do pop across and give it a sub. All right, thanks ever so much. Speak to you later. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Piccadilly. Now, as you can see, the scene hasn't changed very much since the time you saw it last. In fact, it hasn't changed at all, to be honest. But what I want to do today is change all that. So I am going to start working on putting the bank in down here and not building the bridges as such, but actually just creating the forms for the bridge. I'd like to move the track so we know where it's going to go, and then put the bank in just there, and also build the bank coming down that section just there. Whether I get to do the retaining wall is another matter, but that's certainly the idea of today's session, the basic forms. Okay, so let's make a start. Okay, so one of the first things I want to do is to get this track up and get it reconfigured so that these two tracks bend round and go into the tunnel, which will be here. Okay, so what I need to do first is to soak this. If you're doing this and you're taking a pole track or ballasted track, I suggest make sure your power is not on. Don't want any accidents. Now, I've got my cup of water just here. Actually, let me just turn that up a little bit more so you can see. A cup of water, and I've just got a pipette. So I'm going to squeeze it so the water goes up inside. Then I'm going to soak the areas of the track. Now I want to remove that point. So it is literally just a case of just soaking it. Now I've used PVA for this, so the track should come up very easily. If you've used something different to stick this down with, or you've pinned it, you'd use a slightly different method, obviously. If you've pinned it, I would go straight in with, say, something like a knife, something like that, or even a scraper, something like that, and literally just ease it under, and literally next to the pin, ease it up. Both sides of the pin, ease each one up, and then when you've got an amount of pin sticking out, pull it out with a pair of pliers. But this is a method for glue, for those people that have glued track down. Okay, now I'm going to carry on soaking this through. I'm going to leave it about 10 to 15 minutes, and I'll come back and show you how I'm going to go about getting it up. Right, next bit then. So you can see that the track has been soaking now for a short time, and I'm just going to do this little bit at a time now. I've managed to ease up the end of the track with the knife, and it is very important you use something really thin, because obviously you will just damage the track and that will be the end of it. But once the glue has had a chance to soften, you should just be able to ease the knife gently up like that, and I'm literally just going to ease it through every sleeper. I'm not going to force it. If it doesn't want to come, I'm just going to leave it a tiny bit longer and come back to it in a minute. Right, so you can see I've now got all the scenery off and all the old track bed has gone, and I've even laid a new track bed. I'm not going to be laying track at the moment, and that will be another time. I probably won't even show that, to be honest, because it's so, it's just putting a bit of track down, isn't it? But anyway, coming to making these splines, it's just because I haven't done that in this video that I think I need to do that. I'm just going to use a piece of scrap card. I draw a line just there. Actually, that back piece isn't quite, so I'm just going to draw a line like that. That will help me to get that angle. But otherwise it would be square, I assure you. and just cutting down like that, and then put that like that, marking on with a pencil even, that mark just there, and the top mark, and then I'm just going to draw not necessarily a wiggly line, but a line going down, and then I can use that piece for another time, or for one of the other splines. Just cut that out. Doesn't have to follow the line exactly, but depends how wiggly you want the bank to be, I suppose. Down the edge like that. Down the edge like that. I've shown this a fair few times, but you never know if there's somebody new watching or subscribed. Thank you is the first thing I'd like to say to you, but it might help to see that again. 'Tis done. Did you notice the deliberate mistake? When I put it on the first time, I put them up to here and realised I hadn't left any room for the sky. So obviously I've had to do it again. But as you can see, I've got it fading into this area, and I will have to sort of build the sort of slope into this area just a little bit. And obviously it goes down to something quite small at that end, because there is actually a retaining wall just there, and then the overgrowth has sort of overtaken all this area here, which I'll replicate when we get there. So all I'm going to do now, this is soft corrugated cardboard. It isn't the hard stuff, if you pardon me, because you get some which is like really rigid and you can barely move it, whereas other cardboard is, well, soft. So I'm just screwing this up into a tight ball, as you can see. Lots of different directions. I don't want it to be orientating to the corrugations, so it's completely creased. Now the idea then is to glue it on, and then just keep gluing it on. Actually, it would help if I just cut a small slope into that. Now I'm trying, you probably saw in the Piccadilly Sidings video when I did just paper. Well, I had a number of these boxes turn up, you see, with different things a while ago, and it just seems stupid to chuck the boxes when I can use the card, you know. So I'll do it, I'll use this method for as long as I can. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is literally just put a line of glue along the top there with the glue gun, as you can see, like so, and a little bit down that edge. Down there. I'm going to have to be quick because obviously it'll start going off. Right, that'll do. And I'm literally just going to press it on. Try not to burn my fingers. So once it's on, I can use the PVA. Like that. That'll do. Actually, a little bit on that edge there. Well, no, I'll use the PVA for that. So there you go. So I'll just pack that up with the loose card and then cover that with the A4 paper. All I'm doing with that is just photocopy paper, screwing it up into the A4 sheets. So screw it up as tight as you can, and then tear it into strips and stick it on with the PVA. Now I use neat PVA, and the reason for that is because it goes off so much quicker. It'll be set in, well, maybe even half an hour to an hour in this heat. If it's a cold day, if you watch this video, then it might take a number of hours, but it will be a heck of a lot quicker than watering it down and putting it on with a watery mix. That could take days. All right, so I'll see you again in a minute when all this is done. Okay, well, hopefully you can make out this ridge going all the way around and up the top. Now that is several pieces of 2mm grey board. It actually equates to an A2 sheet obviously cut off in different parts of that. I've scored different parts also as well, just like I did here down the bottom, and also again at the far end, just to go around that slight curve around there. Now, the idea is this back scene is all the back scenes are removable, but this scenery is not. However, when we get further up there, where the bridge is, that part of the scenery is removable. Well, hopefully you can see what I've been up to here. Because I want this to be removable, I put a piece of card in all around there to create a space. So when I take that out, that will come out very, very easily and slot back in. Now, I've gone and done my usual thing, if you haven't seen it before, and that is to build out these webs. So they're triangles with like a shaped top. So I measure off the top point and then take it down to the bottom point. Obviously that needs re-gluing. But then just literally just put them all every inch or so all the way along. Now I've got to this point, and then from here, there's got to be a base plate put in, and then this spline stuck to the base plate. Right, as you can see, I've got to build the base for this part of the bridge to sit in, and then the bridge will come across here, or it'll actually be a tunnel as such. But so to do that, what I've done is I've taken a rectangle of card, and I've literally just cut it into an L shape so it goes around this part here, these blocks. Now, there's a bracket there, and that needs to be gone round, otherwise the board won't sit flat. Now, I'm just marking it on roughly, so it's either side of the edges, like so. And so that will then sit around the outside of that bracket there. So I'll cut that part off there. Like that, and then I've got it sitting flat on the board as such. That was the piece I was using, wasn't it? So I can now run that along the edge. I can get it to go, of course. Like that, and that will give me an exact amount to then cut off. Okay, now as bizarre a shape that is, that will then form the sides of the tunnel, and I should do exactly the same this side, because this piece is going to come across here and the tunnel mouth will be about here. Right, just to bring you up to date where we are, I've I cut those pieces out of 2mm grey board, and then I've put another piece on the top which will then strengthen things up a bit, and not only that, give more gluing surface on here ready for the splines. Those two pieces will then slot in up against this piece, because initially this will be removable, and then I can put glue against that like so, all along there, like that, and then that can then sit over the bracket and be gluing like that. And then I'll put some splines in there, same again, that one, glue that against this piece, and then splines going across to help build up the structure over here. All right. Right, as you can see, the structure is coming along. I've still got to put quite a few more ribs or whatever it needs necessary on it, and also build out this area, which will be baseboard mounted. I'll glue that to the baseboard and have this piece lift out as it does. Okay, so that's the whole point of this bit. It will be glued to this at some point when I've got a bit more on it, and then we'll take it from there. But I want to get that built up first, because it's proving to be, it's starting to become not heavy, but if you know what I'm trying to say. Well, here are the changes. I've not had time to put paper on papier-mâché yet. I will, and I will paint it as well. But you can see, you can certainly get an idea of the landforms now, can't you? Not decided on what to do here yet. what sort of bridge or hill or whatever, but it will be removable, whatever. And again, this area needs to be built up, but I'm going to have to think about that before I just do it. It's a bit more tricky than first thought, but no problem at all. You can see the tracks lining up with the other tunnel there, and this all will be scenic up and made to look really quite derelict. Right, let's go over the other side. I'll take you down now towards New Mills, over New Mills Central, and you can see how the tracks are going to go at the end there. Hopefully that's giving it a much better impression of what New Mills actually is like, because we've got this long straight going out of New Mills at the other end as well. Now going on to this area. Now the first thing you'll probably notice at the bank on the right, I've incorporated that scenic area just there, which was over the other side of the layout. Clearly it needs painting and then covering with scenic materials, but I will do that hopefully next week, if not the week after. Going down now towards the tunnel mouths, and that's hopefully giving the impression of trains disappearing from one zone and going into another, which technically are miles and miles apart. Alright, now you'll also notice on the hill section in the corner, which is still brown in this case, I used masking tape just to hold some of that card onto the edges. Did use a lot of hot glue and I did use PVA, but the masking tape just really helped stick things down. So, you know, over the edges I mean. Now, this area here, you might remember me on many occasions talking about having a lake with a bridge going over the water, but I like the idea of the bridge being in front of the background, but it didn't sit properly in a number of other areas. Firstly, how to finish it off in this part here in front of the depot was causing me a few issues. I couldn't think of how to go about doing that. I'd have to paint the surface of the water because it was so the baseboard would be the top of the water, and unless I raise the top of the water, in which case that wouldn't happen, water finds the lowest point, so that didn't sit comfortably. And thirdly, coming out of the tunnel up there straight onto a bridge didn't sit properly either. So I thought the best thing to do is to create a bank at the back and a slope at the front. Now that will be done with more scrubland, which will be like this type of thing all the way up. So hopefully it should turn out nice. And then maybe the odd tree here and there, particularly in front of that in the back scene, just to sort of give the impression of a cluster. You might notice there is a huge gap just there. That's because the top piece is not stuck down yet. I want to make the tunnel portals and then slot them in and then close the gaps up from there. So, you know, I didn't really want to go too far with that. But we're getting there. It is definitely getting there. So I'll just pull you back. You can have a little watch of the trains. In fact, I'll turn the Voyager sound on if you like that idea. There you go. So you can just watch the trains coming round. So don't say I don't do any running sessions. This is it. As short as it might be. And the ferry wagons as well. They're behaving themselves at the moment. We have had a few issues with those today. But yeah. Anyway, top video is going to be how I replaced the track in this area down here. And the bottom video, I think, is going to be something to do with, let's go with New Mills, because I've been working on that. So you can see how the station building was built. Alright, so I'll leave those videos for you to watch. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.